Hello and welcome back to a personal code of conduct. My name is Dio and I have made some modifications again to my mic and I'm hoping that this sounds right. Like this time I increased the boost. I didn't increase the boost. I left the boost as low. I increased the volume generally. And there's the church behind me. And now that we have that oh fuck. Now that we have that at the behind us, like Dio is still having mic problems. Welcome to a personal code of conduct. My name is Dio, like I mentioned. You should expect me to mention my name a lot. And today we are going through how not to make everything a competition, another outlook at the meaning of life, and whatever random topics crops up while I'm recording this thing. Also, it's going to be another mediocre podcast. I'm recording I'm reacting to another article. I think I've seen this article since it's middle, so it's not like on Sunday that I'm like starting to think about it and like pouring all my emotions into like one, like my emotions from the week and reacting to it based on the article. Because I feel like if it was like a certain week, even if I saw the same article, I won't react to it the same. So it keeps like, yes, my reaction is like very different. It's very reacting to an article is subject to the emotions I'm feeling that week. So let's hope. And we'll check this audio. I hope this mic still works after I disconnect it because it does rubbish and nonsense sometimes. And I spent money buying a ton of stupid shit, and I'm like, oh my god, like yeah, like I have a decent amount in my account, but Jesus Christ, like did I have to spend money like cash, madam? Now I'm just going to go out and spend even more money. Like fuck, but I have to promise myself I'm not spending any money till the 30th of this month. Okay, not any money, but like I'm not spending as much money as I did till the 30th of this month. Like no more trash food. But anyway, that's enough personal rants. Let's go on to the article. Fuck, airplanes. Like I have to deal with a fucking church. Okay, no, not me. I'm going to talk about a freaking like incident that happened in the kitchen of my like where I stay. with one of the other residents, like it's a shared kitchen, and because I just said like I have to deal with churches, the entire situation is that these people have been having services since like Thursday. I'm not going to even pretend that it's bothering me because I've been able to like prevent them from becoming anything other than background noise, which is like cool, but who cares? I should continue to start saying that who cares to bother me. So anyway, let's use the intro of rambling and whatever, and me not editing it because I've slept like shit because I've been pressing phone. So let's move on to a personal code of conduct after I check this audio. So the audio was fine once I checked it. Now we'll be looking at 3 different articles. One is, it's not really an article, we'll be looking at the Quora page. How can I stop myself from thinking everything is a competition? And no, I said I didn't have this issue. I don't have this issue for most things because I've actually worked on myself and realizing that it's all pointless shit. Not that I realize, it's like that is my personal philosophy because I don't want to fuck bikes. I hope you can't hear the bikes, but you probably can. I don't want to say that I don't think of okay, now this is rambly and weird, but like let me say it like this. My life philosophy is optimistic nihilism. I'm repeating something that I've said constantly. Optimistic nihilism as the foundation, stoicism as how to treat others. Stoicism is my own structure of how I react to myself, how I personally react to situations. Ubuntu is why my outlook on society, my end goal towards society. Ubuntu helps me structure how I want to look at society and where I hope like the society I exist in will continue to go towards. So that is like my outlook on everything, and a lot of that has helped me like get over the fact that I won't use the word realize because each person's personal philosophy is different and we are all going to die. So if somebody strongly believes from the bottom of their soul that every single aspect of society is important, well, good for them. That is not my current belief. Like I'm struggling with the concept, I think a couple of weeks, the very entity of this entire podcast is Dio's existential dread and realization that everything is meaningless. And not only is everything meaningless, the pain and suffering that you will experience even in this meaningless world is real. Okay, okay, I've had this since I was like 11, but like I've been able to drown it out by doing other things. But like as you're getting older, it's just like not possible to drown it out anymore, because then you have responsibility, you have goals, you have things you're supposed to do with your life, and in quotes, and exist, and like whatever is going to happen. So let's go on to the articles. I'm actually, one is not really an article, one is a Quora page. How can I stop myself from thinking everything is a competition? The other one is some article by Molly Ho, written in 2018, how to stop treating your life like a competition. And the third one is, I think I've seen this article before, but I won't say I've seen it. I do not agree with everything written in this particular article, but I feel like this individual is coming to a weird realization. Not really weird. It's strange, but it's not weird. I know strange and weird are like really like similar terms, but I don't know how to explain it. That's just not that weird and strange are different ideas in my head. Like, the idea is his idea is the confusingly freeing effect of realizing you're not unique. Now, I like the headline because it's something that I believe. I know it doesn't really what's the word, like match, this belief doesn't really match with the fact that I'm having issues with treating everything like a competition, but it's also one of the reasons that helped me reduce that thought process of thinking of everything as a competition, or feeling inadequate when I don't do as well. So I don't know which one to start with. I feel like I'd start with this one while trying to relate to it, like when I'm talking about the competition aspect, then go on to the competition aspect. Now, my personal relationship with competition is, I used to be competitive with nobody. Like, I'm not like having a competition. I just want to literally be the best. Now, it's now a question of, do I want to put in the effort to be that best? And if you are operating in a situation where you act like the world naturally revolves around you, or like everything naturally belongs to you, you will be very hard on yourself if you're not just naturally the best. Like, I think I first had this revelation when I was like 10. Or was I 10? I was 9, because I entered secondary school very early. I was 9. I turned 10 in the second term. And I had this realization that I wasn't the best in my class. I just assumed I'd be fabulous and the best in my class. I'm not even going to deny it. I looked down on, because I went to a school that was far more expensive than the primary school I was coming from, because like my mother trusted the teacher and what have you. So I just assumed I'd be the best. I didn't really practice or study and everything. So I came third, and I was such an IT kid. And I think that my GS1 year is like a source of a lot of my insecurities about being an IT kid, because I was a very forward child. If I knew something, I would say it. If I knew the answer, if I could present a solution, which is something that I am again, I wasn't like that for a very long time. And you just realize some things actually did affect you, but you don't, because you're not looking into your past, you're not properly like looking at your existence like as a human being, your experience as a human being, you realize that you're not really looking at the things that affected you. You're not really understanding the problems that you had and all those other things. So in GS1, I came third, and I remember this particular. I don't even remember the person that said this phrase. I don't remember the person at all. And it was like, oh, with all she knows, she came third. And I was like, if it was an adult me right now, I'd be like, what the fuck is even your position? Third is a very good position, but I just assumed I'd be better than everybody. I just assumed that it's only fair. I'm amazing. I came from a very good school, a decent household, and I speak better English than these people. I know, yes, I was a fucking asshole, but I was 9, forgive me. Because that's something, especially now that I'm on a fucking, I want to learn how to speak Yoruba journey right now. And I was kind of bitter about the quality of school I was being sent to. It was a good school, but it wasn't for people of my economic background, let's just say. And I was very bitter about it. But I was 9. I was going to go anywhere. And I ended up making friends. I don't understand how I ended up making friends. Even 9-year-old me knew that you don't disrespect people. Even if you're thinking the disrespect in your head, you don't disrespect people to their face. And then you realize that even if you're being fake for like the first fucking 5 minutes, you realize that you're wrong and you're an asshole, and you meet people that you can relate to. They may not come from the same economic background as you, but like they had things that you like. That you like, they were cool people. Like, yeah, they didn't know as much as you, and even then you wanted to be like the freaking ITK, because like you were kind of like the broke kid among, like, not broke, like, your parents could afford what their parents could afford, but your parents didn't like spending money willy-nilly. So like there are some things that you lacked. So all of a sudden you were now thrust into an environment where you're the one that had excess, you're the one that had plenty. So it feels like very, very weird. And at that point you're like, oh, I understand how this person felt when you're out of the loop of something that somebody's talking about very excitedly. And that way I was able to make friends, even though, and I was lucky. I always attract people who call out my bullshit. And I was like, I was lucky that I was able to attract somebody that was like, dude, you're being an ass heart. If you're being an ass heart, don't continue. And I'd shut the fuck up and I wouldn't continue, which is something that, wow, I attract really good people towards me, which is something that happened after primary school, because I had a lot of weird asshole friends in like primary 4, but like, Diane had butt likes, but like 5, I want to say I said 5 o'clock, but like primary 5, my school didn't have a primary 6, a 6th grade, we just went straight to 7. I started attracting people that made sense and wouldn't deal with my bullshit and asshole behavior, and I still do that, like, which is awesome. The confusingly freeing effect of realizing you're not unique. Most of what you fail to achieve in this life is your fault, which is kind of true. I remember having this conversation with myself that, like, not really most. This is very first worldy, kind of. That's one thing I always show when I'm looking at articles. I need to understand that my opinion doesn't necessarily align with this person, whether it's the fanciest books or the biggest books. Even if something is an empirical fact, and something that has been proved time and time again, you need to understand that a lot of these things are opinions. It's important that you're working with numbers and figures that have been proven facts, but interpretation and like understanding of society, those things are opinion. No matter how old the book is, no matter how well accepted the book is, it is an opinion, and your time on earth is too limited for you to just streamline your life to something that wasn't the 100% of somebody else's life, because nobody can write 100% of their thoughts into a book. Like, there are literally books about like one very niche particular topic, and it goes up to 60,000 like pages. So how do you expect somebody to write a book on how to live your life in just like 500 pages? It doesn't make any sense. So like, that's how my own thoughts towards articles and self-help books and fiction books. Like, yeah, you want to look into another person's mind, but you need to recognize that it's another person's mind, which is great. See, Dara has gotten up to like 12:51 minutes and she hasn't even gotten to one article. Your own mental blocks would defeat you where life would have let you succeed. True. And I think taking responsibility doesn't necessarily have to mean beating yourself up. And I know a lot of other people, and I know how it did. I'm not yet relating it to competition, but like in a situation where you're like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done this, but you need to be honest with yourself. Were you going to do it? If you were not going to do it, if it will have caused you unnecessary stress, then you must be happy with the results that came with it, because it was a result of your own efforts. And sometimes it's not just your efforts, sometimes it's you just did not have the connection, and that is okay. You didn't know people enough to help you do a particular thing, to help you get to a particular place. So you have to define what is my best, and my best has to be something that will give me peace of mind. I know it's like very freaking out, like especially when you're in a position that has a cutoff mark and everything, and it's very, very scary. So you have to tell yourself that, how important is this thing to me? I know I'm talking to myself, but I keep using you and your, because that is like in permanently like motivational speech mode, but like this is a personal code of conduct. And I was talking about how this relates to me and how I understand myself and how everything is about me. And I understand that when you have this conversation with yourself and you understand that, okay, this is what I want, this is where I want to achieve, and this is how much effort I'm willing to put in it because I'm going to sleep well. And you have to accept that whatever result comes in from the effort, from your social standing and the level of luck that you have, you need to accept it like that. There's no point being miserable over something you cannot control. Now they're taking the light. My laptop battery is decent, it'll be fine. Let's go on. Your own reasons will beat out the reasons of many who are more wise. Your own reasons will beat out the reasons of many who are more wise, experienced, and adept than you at any task in question. Yes, because you are the only one in your head. Like, especially if you have a stubborn streak, and people are often like, "Oh, do this, do that," and you're just there like, "No," because I think I came up with a good idea. I think it's a fabulous way to talk, but it's not a fabulous way to think. Like, I talk like my idea is the best idea, but I'm open to suggestions. That's how I talk. But I'm trying to prevent that from translating to how I think, which is whatever. Your own clever mind would defeat you in the ways the world could never have or never could have. True, you are your biggest own enemy, and you need to understand that. Yeah, you may be the problem. But it's not the end of the entire issue. Like, you can always fix yourself. And I think self-awareness is key. Everybody keeps on like, oh, okay, you're just like, you're miserable, blah, blah, blah. So how are you going to fix it? Self-awareness is key. And if you spend your whole life being self-aware, but being understanding that, okay, this is not taking me anywhere, but you decide to be satisfied with where you are, then I don't think it's a horrible life lived than somebody who decided they wanted to take over the world and succeeded. Because, mama, right now, freaking 100 years on the, not even up to 100, like, with the amount of plastics I'm consuming, I might not make it to 70 on this country, where even middle class people have started dying in their 70s, like, lol. But, like, with very limited time on Earth, I think you will have regrets. I cannot say live with no regrets. You will have regrets because you live in a society. And see, if you live in a society, things matter to you. People matter to you. There are things that you're going to wish you did more. You're probably going to wish you left this country. You just try and hope that your life is mediocre and you don't live like through so much torture and suffering. And as much, my personal philosophy, even though I'm not even going towards it, I'm not aggressively looking for funding, is I one day want to be able to alleviate the suffering of others. I one day want to be able to spearhead a movement for stability of my country and my larger continent. But am I ready to do that? Am I ready to research and understand the amount of people, the people I need to know, the direction I need to have? And I'm already feel like, not really, maybe because of all the like the YA fantasy I used to read. It's always like I have this ridiculous expectation at the age at which you're supposed to have made an impact. But the thing is, some people are going to meet that ridiculous expectation. Some people are going to meet and continue to expand their life. And it's going to feel like, you're going to feel like shit. It's going to be like, but you need to be honest with yourself. Were you willing to make the efforts that they made? Did you have the connections that they had? And don't chuck it all to connections, because sometimes you might be like, well, it's all connection. I don't have the connections. Like, were you willing to make the efforts that they had? Or did you have the connections that they had? If you didn't have neither, then why are you beating yourself over it? This doesn't mean you should settle for mediocrity. It means that understanding that it was your own fault, quite alright, but you've respected the fact that it's your own fault, and you've decided, am I shifting my stress threshold or my stress buckets I'm willing to put myself through? And anytime you decide, okay, I'm not willing to put myself through this stress or through this like miserableness, you need to look at the long term. If I continue to decide to not put myself through this is Dio giving herself a tech talk, because I have been on a break from working out, technically just being very tacky about it for like 2 weeks, and I'm losing muscle mass, especially since I'm working with a resistance band. And I'm like, if I continue this way because I want like comfort and everything, I can see the future. I'm going to lose all my muscle mass and probably gain all the weight back. So am I ready to live with that future? If I'm ready to live with that future, then I should not regret this choice. Regrets will eventually set in, but I need to understand that I chose this. So yeah. In the treacherous war for control. Oh, I just realized we're already in like 19th minute and I don't fucking edit this stuff like really, really well. We're going to have to speed up. I don't have time to take this stuff like one by one. Okay, let's talk about the other stuff, the shared doubts. If you listen carefully, you will hear the word muttering the same insecurities under which you thought you were the sole sufferer. I think I've mentioned this before. If you can manage to draw out yourself from your cave of self-doubt for a moment, venture forward and listen closely to a peer, you will discover that your suffering is not unique, and which is something, and this is just like a self-validating aspect, like, and has helped me reduce the competition in my mind, because I understand that there are some sufferings that we all experience regardless of like wealth. And I want to say some people do have confidence, some people don't have like incredible insecurities about them being an ITK, because that I know the source of where my fear of like standing out too much, even though that is my pure character. I know where the particular phrase that caused that like emotional trauma come from, but that's because I've examined myself and I'm like, fuck that shit. If people say, people will always continue to say my life is my life. Like, and while I might continue to hope that it doesn't single me out as a bad friend or single me out as an annoyance. The fact that I still found people willing to be my friend, call me out while being respectful to me, and I'm just there like, I don't think my life is going to be fucking ruined by people who think I'm annoying for being an ITK. Because there's some people who like ITKs, there's some people who like that behavior, and that's like pretty cool. And those people often are ready to call you out when you're doing too much, in quotes. Shared misery. We talk past each other so frequently that we miss the fact that we're moaning about the same things. I think it goes down when I was talking about one particular YouTuber video where she was all like, adult friendships are all about being sad and pouring buckets onto each other. And I'm like, yes. And is that a problem? Like, I understand that in a first world situation, you're like, oh, okay, get a therapist instead. But I feel if two mature individuals decide that together, that's one thing I'm trying to like look for somebody to build with. But like, we're always like cutting out time, and not me not them being too busy, and me also not being a tier 1 friend. Like, I want an individual I can sit down and we will plan and we'll be accountability partners with each other, and we'll like improve and move on and what have you, and everything would be fabulous. I miss being skinny. Oh god, like I won't say that I miss being skinnier. It's like I'm still pretty skinny, but like I've added a few extra whatever, and the only thing in my head was like, I won't be able to run fast. Not, oh, sexiness, blah blah blah. It's like I won't be able to run fast, even though I will miss like this entire vibe. So like I've just gingered myself by reading this thing to go back, because I've been like, if this is the end, this is the long term, I'm sorry for my lack. I know it is very patchy and whatever, but it's a personal code of conduct. The courage to admit ignorance to an equally lost peer may serve to untie the first knots on the blindfold covering both your eyes. Like I've said, I was talking about, I know I'm going back, but I was talking about how we need to, that the whole pouring of adult friendship doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. You guys have to sit down together and decide that this is our end goal, this is how we are going to plan, this is how we are going to move forward. I've tried this with individuals, but like they had such a very lackluster, like they didn't have the ginger. And sometimes, even though I tell myself that I want to be the one like pushing this entire thing forward, I'm just like, do I have enough relationship with you to be your ginger? Do I have enough relationship with you to push you forward? Do I have enough relationship with you to expect you to tell me when I'm acting like an asshole? Or do I have enough relationship with you to tell you for me to tell you when I bitch, you're being fucking lazy? Grow up. The future is nigh and it's very fucking scary. Like, we are old. Your people younger than us are getting married, and it's not that we want to get married or anything. It's just we need stability and structure. We need fucking stability and structure. So don't be saying you want to fucking lie down and be a vibe. You will starve if you're like that, and that is okay. If you accept the fact that that's a very fucking stupid thing. So every time you give yourself pleasure, you need to understand that if I continue doing this every day, what is going to be the end goal? Like, what is going to be the end? And if you don't like the end, then you have to find a way to cut it down. It's going to hurt, obviously, because you're human, and it'll be fine. It'll be fucking fine. And next, 2 is better than 1. Oh, this basically just buttresses what I've tried to say. So I've been able to like speed run that article. Now let's go to how to stop treating your life like it's a competition. It starts like this. Tell me if this sounds like you're constantly stressed out. Am I constantly stressed out? Overwhelmed and on the verge of tears? I'd say like maybe junior secondary school, like being 9-10. But I just genuinely stopped caring in secondary school, and everything came out fine. Like, I wasn't like, even though I felt that rush of being number 1 on the like billboard, I was also fine with where I was. Like, I wasn't ready to do overnight. I wasn't ready to do all that much stress, and I think that also helped me a bit in like uni, like managing the stress that I wasn't on a first class, and I'd probably never be on a first class. But it didn't help me like manage the dramatic fear of getting like a 2-2 grade in fucking year 5 of all years, and the fear of almost failing something. I thought I was going to fucking die. But like, it helped me manage the stress of, look at what these first class people are doing. They are having study groups. I don't want to fucking talk to these people. I don't want to like relate with them to that extent and be everywhere to them. It requires a lot of energy to have like a group of brilliant people. And another thing, they were like very churchy people. I'm like, do I want to like push myself into the arms of Christ right now? I just want to lay down and read questionable like manga and watch questionable anime and be a questionable person and read questionable like fan fiction at this point. I didn't want to put that, and I think knowing that I didn't want to put that much effort into like pushing myself forward, it made me satisfied with whatever with the 2-1 I got. Now, if I was on a lower grade or what have you, and I knew that it would limit most of my opportunities in life, because I don't think I've seen any like adverts for any major company where they are like first class only, like except for maybe oil companies and they're trying to be asshots. But I'm like, I felt like where I wasn't going to aggressively limit my opportunities in life, so that was fine. It didn't cause me sleepless nights. I know if 9-year-old Dio saw my 16-year-old self, she'd be like, "Why the fuck are you not sleeping well?" And I mean, why the fuck are you sleeping well? No, 16 was already like, if she saw my 18, 19-year-old self, I was like, "Why the fuck are you sleeping well?" Even though like I was somebody who put in effort, who had structure in their routine, because as always one period that had me like really, really. I don't know why I hid it. But somebody who wasn't a tier 1 friend of mine, she checked like my study notes when I first came, and I was like, I didn't know how to present the conversation, so I just dragged it, and she thought I was one of those like weird, jealous secondary school things that happen due to miscommunications. So she thought I was one of those weird, jealous secondary school people that would go study in secrets and be like how they are chill and awesome and everything. I tried to do that in secondary school. It didn't work out. Like, man, no. If I didn't enjoy something, I wasn't going to fucking read it. But I'd like it to have structure and order. And sometimes I just read my text because there's no novel. But when I got to university, I was like, Dio, you need structure in your routine. You can't just... The volume of stuff you need to learn is so much more than secondary school. So like when she saw my very structured, ordered notes, she was like, "Oh my god, you read a lot. Like I didn't know you used to read like this." And I just dragged my notes from my hand and I didn't see anything. And I had this like cringy smile. And I'm very sure she probably felt like, what's wrong with this crazy person? Fuck, you probably heard that dramatic door. And I was like, fuck. How could people realize that I did rubbish and nonsense? And I'm like, a lot of it, like the fellow, and there's one thing I need to realize, like in university, like the fellow, like I won't say fellow, like the very like brilliant people in quotes, they all hung out together, and I didn't like the subject of their conversation. I didn't like their vibe. I didn't like their existence, and I knew that you probably need like a group of structured people, or people who know what they're doing. And I was like, I'm going to accept my grade like that, even though like I still used to like randomly wake up and have like sleepless nights and be like, I could have done better for myself. But nah, I slept well knowing that I wouldn't have done more. It would have just been an unnecessarily stressful endeavor for me to like push myself over that first class. So even though I still kind of wake up wishing I did push myself more, and I'm like, with the amount of efforts I would have required, would I have done it? No, probably not. Because even though I was having a level of apathy, the amount of things required to like get to that point, I didn't want to do it, and that's fine. So, secretly annoyed when you see someone who seems to have everything. This also translates to everything, because I know that people who have everything put a lot of effort or are born in a better place than I am. I cannot fight these people over these things. If they were born to like more exposed parents, or to parents who know more about like what's they call that thing, admission seasons, connections with the British Council, connections with Education USA, and all these things, our parents who push them, because my parents don't push people. My parents like, what the fuck do you want to do with your life? Can't figure it out. I was like, chill, don't be stressing me, because we gave you to have sense. We gave it to you and we expect you to have sense. Nah, my parents don't push people. And so like I know that the people who have everything put a lot of effort to get that everything. So while I do feel small tinge of jealousy, it has become like a habit of mine for me to tell someone straight up that, dude, I'm fucking jealous. And it's not like casual, like, yeah, if I say I'm jealous of you, I mean it, like I fucking mean it. But like that doesn't mean I'm going to be an asshole friend, like for that. It's just that I'm jealous of the fact that you decided that this is the amount of stress of the things to get the things that I wanted, and I went out to get it. I, on the other hand, decided not to. So by understanding the long-term effects of certain things, it helps me to properly determine how much effort I'm truly willing to put into something. Next, feeling like you're not good enough and everything you do isn't good enough. Well, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I kind of think I'm fucking awesome. And I'm not exaggerating, like I genuinely think I'm awesome. My main problem is that do people appreciate my awesomeness? oh, wake up wanting to give up on life at least once a week. What does that have to do with anything? Like, it's like, because think about it. Why I feel like a lot of the things that help stay, not my personal existence, my theory on what helps put away existential dread in generally. One, religion. A lot of people my age are really like into religion. They try to experiment with the whole agnostic thing when we're like in university, like nah. In the country like Nigeria, a lot of people are like really into religion, and me, I still shout, thank you God and blood of Jesus and what have you, when I'm very scared, because wallahi, that's the only thing I know. So when you're not having this entire conversation with like people as to what existentialism is, and you realize that wanting to give up on life is not, I think it's a default state. But what removes existential dread is like either religion, by believing that you're created and you have a purpose. But understanding that you lack a sense of uniqueness makes you feel a lot of empathy for individuals who are not born in your station, and you're just there like, does the Lord, who supposedly is in love with you and grateful for your success and purpose, think that the purpose of a 4-year-old Iraqi child or the purpose of a 4-year-old northern child is to die horribly malnourished or blown up to pieces? Now that's one question. Like, religion operates with the fact it operates with a personal delusion of grandeur. Even like belief in which is coming to get you. Like, everything operates with a personal delusion of grandeur. That's, yeah, the world fucking revolves around me and everything is fucking against me, but I have my fucking backers. That's like how I see how religion operates in the mind of people, in my theory, like bullshit theory. I'm not in anybody's head. Another thing that stays away existential dread is like just having routines and doing things and having an end goal. As to why you want that end goal, you don't really have an answer, to be honest. You don't. Like, you do not have an answer at all, and you're just like, well, let's just keep doing this shit. Like right now, I think I'm in that phase. Okay, what do I don't. That's one thing. I always try to beat myself up for having a total and complete lack of ambition, but like, there it is, Dio and the lack of ambition. And it's going to be fine. I'm performing my task. I think my current ambition is to not be poor, and I feel like I'm on the right track to not be poor. I should focus more on like getting side hustles, but I spend so much time consuming content, like as I'm one kind of uni student. Dad should find a side hustle, like she should like really do. Then many of us were taught that we had to be better. I don't know where you are finding all these stressful parents from. I don't know, that's the one thing. I don't know where I got my ITK stuff. And I was like, yeah, I liked like the praise, but like, you were not an inadequate child if you didn't do particularly well. You just didn't get praised. And that's okay, I guess. So until you say to yourself, enough is enough, you continue running this rat race where we treat our lives like it's a competition where you have to win. Your life is not a competition, but like, you have to define what is winning to you. Like, what is something that I will achieve and I'll be able to stop caring. I'll reach a level of a complete lack of empathy towards anyone. I don't even know if that's the right term. Like, I'll generally not care if things blow up. Like, that's one thing. Stability is my end goal. Stability is my definition of, okay, must make it like everything is fucking awesome, back on back, side to side, smooth as fuck. But what are we going to? Today I'm going to share with you 3 things that help me stop treating my life like a competition. Thank you, Molly Ho. Someone else's success doesn't take away from yours. I think, except in a position like where I currently am, where it's kind of like, it doesn't, but you could be at the top. Do you get? Like, if you're not at the top, like, you're not directly pitted against somebody, but if you're not at the top, in a position that you want, you need to be honest with yourself. What did this person do to get there? And are you willing to do that thing? I know it's like a repeat of my entire thought process, but like, that's how I was able to deal with other people's success, because I recognize that it's a combination of their own efforts, which I wasn't ready to put in, and their own social standing, which I did not have. So, peace. But it still hurts, because sometimes you're like, I totally could have done that, but it's more like an anger with self. And understanding that also, the other thing I said about being at peace with yourself stops the aggressive self-criticism voice, like, oh the fuck, you didn't do it, it's like, what a loser. It stops that, because being at peace with yourself does really help a lot. empowered women empower other women isn't just a nice sentence to say make others think you're a good person, but something I truly believe in. Actually, yes. And to be honest, I was debating starting like my study group being all the girls, but I was like, just people who spoke to me. And there's one person I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have added this person, but like, ugh, fuck. We're added. Okay, this just says, don't ever send this link to people in your study group. Fuck. And understanding that, I think I had peace. Like, the reason that made me want to do this because we had a project and there was a weekend assignment where I just assumed I didn't know they'd do a mention, but I just assumed I'd be kind of impressive. Like, lol, look at me, kind of impressive. But then again, some people did some things that didn't even cross my mind because I was like, oh, it's just an assignment. We're not required to be as dramatic and extra as that. Well, I can do extra. I'll do extra so much that you notice me next week. And things, if something is that you feel like you ought to be the best, once you see if you're not the best and you see, like, do something you're satisfied with, and if you're not the best, you most likely will have access to the results that the best produce, and you say, oh, okay, this is what is required of me by this individual, and this is what I could have changed. It may not necessarily be better, but you're like, sometimes you might think what you did is still the fucking best, but you understand that this is what this individual who grades my existence, not your existence, but like what you're doing at the moment requires. So the next thing, it's okay to go at your own pace, whatever that may be. Now, I think this entire stuff is very dangerous. Like, I know I've been saying, like, because I've been buttressing my own points, repeating my own mind. And I don't think I'll have to go to the Quora page because this is pretty much covers what other people's opinions are. And you understand that yes, go at your own pace, don't beat yourself up. But you need to have a certain level of satisfaction, a certain level of satiation, a certain level of contentment. Yes, contentment is the word. For you to accept that this is the pace I'm willing to go, this is the level I'm willing to get. Sometimes I still beat myself up for like fucking 2 years ago, and I'm like, where I am now, I could have achieved this so much faster. But I didn't know about the opportunities. So I cannot beat myself up for simply not knowing. Even though, like, Daya is a human being, and human beings don't have sense sometimes. She still beats herself up for just not knowing. And that's weird, but like, it's fine. It's normal. Be clear on what it is you want for your own life. This is a personal code of conduct. I am not literally clear on what it is I want for my life. There's a reason why this podcast is existing. But my current short-term goal is to pass the program I'm currently in the next 2 years is to be an outstanding person, to understand the work environment I am, to be suitable, and also to have a side hustle. I want to have a proper side hustle. I need a side hustle, but I feel like my profession is easy to have a side hustle, but it's not a question, do you have time for that side hustle? So I'm like, I need to have a side hustle, know more about investments. So I think my current long-term goal is to not be a broke 26-year-old. Yeah. That's my current goal, to not yes, that is my goal. I am saying it now. Daria is going to somewhere. I don't know where. It might be either, I want to go to Dubai earlier. It might be I want to spend my 26th birthday on a paid for vacation, a vacation I paid for myself, and I know that it's not that I'm losing all the money I spent, like I saved up like last year. Yeah, that is deciding to have a 26-year-old birthday. I'm 26-year-old plan. I'll be turning 24 in 5 months. So I want to know that by when I'm 26, I'm paying for a holiday somewhere really, 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 really fun. Somewhere really fun. I'm paying for a holiday somewhere really fun. And I'm paying for it. And I don't think Dubai is too generic. I don't want to go to Dubai for my 26th. And if I get it by my 25th, that's fine. But like 26th, I want to go somewhere very interesting on a holiday. And I want to make sure that vacation is something that I can easily afford. It doesn't hit my bank account in a sense that I feel like Nigeria wants to go to hell. And there's some things that I cannot control, like Nigeria might go to hell in fucking 2 years or so. I don't know. But like, Mama shall try and have faith in the fact that we're enough of a regional power, and I was born in enough of a stable station in society that it's not going to fuck up my destiny like that. Destiny. So let me just wrap up with that random shit that happened in the kitchen that I said I was going to talk about. So she was asking me about like which church you go to. I'm like, it's just a random conversation to have with people. Like, oh, you're always working from home. I'm like, fuck that shit. Like, dude, I don't go to any church. Like, I know. I'm currently in that like phase that a lot of like devout Christians will say that, oh, she's trying to use her own worldly mind to like determine her purpose and shit and stuff. But like, I don't know. I feel I don't know, bask in my hubris. And if I get older and it turns out that I was wrong, and there's still time to like throw myself all into whatever religion I'm throwing myself all in. But I don't. Another reason why I don't, it's the fact that I have empathy and belief in other people, that I don't throw myself all in into like a certain religion anymore, because I'm like, okay, yeah, if I'm the one through things, all of India going to prison, not all of India, there are Christians in India, but it's like it's all of China going to prison, not all of China, there are Christians in China, but like it's like everybody who doesn't believe what I believe, are they going to expect suffering? That's just too much. But that might be my own like human mental gymnastics. But another thing that does freak me the fuck out, and another reason that keeps making religion incredibly seductive, is lack of existence. Like this awesome human being may cease, like actually cease to exist. I understand like where existential dreads come in and how like religion, because we're just too fucking awesome to just end like that. So I guess that's the end. I have nothing else to say. Has been a personal code of conduct, and I am Dio. Have a productive week.